The two most exciting episodes are about to be presented. Tomoya actually had a relationship with Reina. He planned to keep their relationship secret. Tomoya kissed Reina affectionately and left without looking back. The reason why the relationship between the two developed so quickly started a few days ago. After Misa broke up with her boyfriend that day, Tomoya felt very sad and called Reina to complain. Tomoya sat alone in the restaurant and cried loudly, saying, "Misa wants to break up with him." Reina picked up the phone and persuaded calmly on the surface, but she couldn't hide her ecstasy in her heart. This is exactly what she dreamed of. However, what Reina didn't expect was that in Tomoya's heart, Misa was like an inexhaustible treasure. In order to ensure a rich and worry-free life after marriage, Tomoya went to find Misa the next morning. Of course, in order to let Reina and Tomoya be together, Misa agreed to Tomoya's apology and plea and did not break up with him. At noon, Misa found an excuse to ask Reina to have dinner. It turned out that the date for them to meet their parents had been set. This was her first time meeting Tomoya's parents. For a moment, Misa didn't know what to wear and was very nervous. Misa said that Reina had a good taste in clothes, so Misa wanted to ask her for some advice and invited Reina to go shopping together when she had time. Reina said in surprise, "Aren't things going well between you and Tomoya?" Misa quickly denied it and then explained that Tomoya actually booked a new house yesterday and wanted to give her a big surprise. But Misa thought that she should discuss it with her in advance, so they had a big fight and just reconciled this morning. In order to make Reina feel that she was a coward, Misa first mentioned the old story of Reina and Tomoya about her mother, expressing her gratitude instead of anger. Misa thought it was hard to talk about this, but after Reina explained the whole story, she finally felt relieved. However, she still worried that Tomoya would have a grudge against her because of this. Not long after, the company held a grand product tasting event. Based on her memories before rebirth, Misa vaguely remembered that the president of Asahi department store was hospitalized for peanut allergy after eating their company's steamed buns. But it was not on the food ingredient list delivered to them. The president's wife said that a female employee gave it to them. Because Miko was in charge of the event kitchen booth, she became the scapegoat for this incident and was later transferred to a remote subsidiary. This time Misa would not let this happen again. When she was about to take the steamed buns with peanut flavor off the shelf, she found that Wataru had moved them to the back kitchen one step ahead. Misa went up to ask the reason, but was misunderstood by Wataru as taking the opportunity to be lazy and not working seriously. Looking at the backs of the two people walking away one after the other, Tomoya noticed that they seemed to still keep in touch. So Tomoya came to the hall to warn Wataru not to get close to his girlfriend. Unexpectedly, Wataru claimed that the two of them were completely incompatible. Tomoya was speechless and stood there in a stalemate. He angrily grabbed the white wine beside him and drank it all in one gulp. At this moment, the only thought in his mind was to drink to relieve his sorrow. At the same time, the section chief took out the peanut-flavored steamed buns from the kitchen. When he just came out, he happened to meet the two presidents of Asahi department store. In order to express his gratitude and leave a good impression, the section chief stuffed a box as a souvenir. At the request of the president's wife, the section chief asked Reina to get a food ingredient list. After the tasting meeting ended in the evening, Misa was still busy working. At this time, the tipsy Reina also came, and the two had a big fight over something, which was also one of Misa's revenge plans. As expected, Misa's room card was stolen by Reina. A few minutes later, Reina ran into Tomoya, who was also tipsy. In order to take revenge on her best friend, Reina decided to use her charm to take her away immediately. Reina gently put the room card on Tomoya's lips and solemnly told him, "Today is the only chance." How many people in the world can withstand such a test? As expected, Tomoya agreed. The two immediately called a taxi and left, intending to go to the hotel for further in-depth communication. This scene was watched by Misa. The best friend finally fell in love with her boyfriend, and the two finally took the next step. Misa shed tears of joy. Suddenly Wataru appeared with an umbrella, blocking this bad scene at the same time. Afterwards, the two went to a bar together, where they talked about many past events. The reason why Misa and Tomoya are together is because she was touched by some small details, and then Misa got drunk and passed out. At this time, Wataru dared to say what he had buried in his heart for a long time. He was very much looking forward to the life with Misa in the future and hoped that the two of them, Miku, could support each other and do many things together. In a blink of an eye, time came to the next day and the plot was still going on as before. Someone came to the door early in the morning and said that their president was hospitalized because of steamed buns. The culprit was all blamed on his food recipe. The section chief knew that Reina gave the wrong one, but he had other intentions, so he was ready to blame the newcomer Miko. Because she was in charge of the activity kitchen booth, she was about to force her to be the scapegoat. Misa was about to speak, but Wataru immediately appeared in time and said that he would be responsible for this matter. After get-off work, the section chief and Reina met in the garden. Seeing Reina with a worried look on her face, the section chief whispered to her not to worry. He first took out a bottle of drink from his clothes, and the section chief asked Reina to cheer up. The section chief finally promised that he would make Reina a formal employee when the contract was renewed next time, and he would also take care of yesterday's matter. However, the section chief must ask for some compensation for doing these things for Reina, that is, to go out together next time for 2 days and 1 night. Faced with the pleading of the pervert boss, Reina did not refuse immediately, but pretended to be very happy. Reina first made the section chief mistakenly believe that she really agreed, and then the section chief was like a child, jumping and left here very happily. When the section chief left, Reina threw away the drink with a look of disdain. Tomoya's mother intended to take the initiative in front of Miku's daughter-in-law, whom she had not met yet, by taking the opportunity of the first meeting. I thought everything would go as expected, but I didn't expect that Misa, who has always been diligent and frugal, was very strong this time. Misa's hairstyle and dressing style are completely different from usual. Seeing that her wishful thinking was about to fail, Tomoya's mother took prompt action and took the lead in starting from her own experience. She constantly instilled traditional housewife concepts into Misa, emphasizing that Mika should not only take care of her husband's 3 meals a day and other housework after marriage, but also have a stable job to maintain personal financial independence. The reason why Misa opposed so ruthlessly was because she vaguely remembered the day they met before rebirth. The future mother-in-law saw that Misa was dressed simply, and even the wedding venue, dishes, and wedding dress were all her responsibility. The days after marriage were even more miserable, although the couple lived in a new house. But the future mother-in-law would come almost every day, and every time she came to visit her son. Misa completely became the nanny of this family, and her husband never did housework once. The married life was no longer as sweet as before. The future mother-in-law treated the couple differently, giving her daughter-in-law special beef, and the super high-grade beef belonged only to her son. In addition, the future mother-in-law also constantly put pressure on Misa to hurry up and give birth to a grandson. If Misa had not completed her mission and continued to give birth, she would have lived such a difficult life for many years, so she would not repeat the same mistake after her rebirth. The future mother-in-law was extremely strong. After a series of setbacks, she tried to completely suppress and control Misa. She said a resolute word with a loud voice, intending to force Misa to give up resistance and surrender. Sure enough, a woman without a father or a mother is useless. After saying that, the future mother-in-law arrogantly picked up the water cup to drink water. She thought she could win with this remark. But what she never expected was that Misa asked her a question in return. Aren't your parents gone now? Our parents are gone. Why do you want to talk about other people's parents? Such contempt. After the first meeting with the future mother-in-law, Misa left without stopping. But Tomoya grabbed Misa and asked her to bow her head and admit her mistake to his mother, otherwise their wedding would not be able to go on. Then the two quarreled over this matter. A few minutes later, Reina showed up in time to see the joke, but unexpectedly, Misa exposed the hidden relationship between the two on the spot and left the scene. Then Tomoya's parents came. When his mother saw the well-behaved girl greeted her, her irritable mood instantly became happy. Because such a weak Reina is the ideal model of Miku's daughter-in-law. At the same time, the minister and his employees came to the hospital to visit the president. According to the plot before rebirth, the president's wife would identify Miko as the person who delivered the ingredient list. And he would believe the statement and transfer Miko to a remote subsidiary afterwards. This time Wataru will not let his sister suffer any more grievances, although the president's wife once again identified that person as Miko. But before that, Wataru had set up a video recording device to record everything that happened that day. Wataru found out that he had really recognized the wrong person. The person who delivered the ingredient list was actually Reina, who had not yet been promoted. The next morning, Misa took her revenge plan one step further. When the employees were preparing to go to work and gathered in the public area downstairs, she shouted loudly and told how her best friend Reina had ruined her originally happy life. Instantly, everyone's eyes were focused on this, and the matter spread throughout the company. The whole company kept talking about Reina behind her back, and then Reina was called to the office by the section chief again. According to the section chief, although he knew the whole story, but because Reina cried and begged him, hoping that he could shift the blame to Miku, the section chief could not tell the truth. The section chief gave up the agreement they made with each other because he also heard about what happened downstairs today. In the end, the matter was investigated clearly, and then Misa discovered the mechanism after rebirth. As long as there is a replacement, the fate can be changed. Yuriko, the team leader, originally resigned because of power harassment, and now it has become Reina who resigned. Miku was originally transferred to a subsidiary company because of a peanut allergy incident, and now it has become the section chief who has been transferred to a subsidiary company. The original position of the section chief was replaced by Yuriko, and everything was thanks to Director Wataru. When they came to a private party somewhere, the dismissed Reina came with her future mother-in-law, Tomoya's mother. It turned out that Reina had told her future mother-in-law about her relationship with Tomoya, so that she would have someone to rely on in the future. Reina said that she was pregnant, thinking about holding her grandson as soon as possible, and Tomoya's mother gave up Misa and chose Reina. When Reina was immersed in complacency, she did not realize that this was actually a conspiracy carefully planned by Misa. Misa's real purpose was to let Reina experience the difficult life after marriage. Suddenly the scene changed, and there were only 3 people in the scene. Reina and Misa stood on the stage, and there was only Wataru, a spectator below.